it's your High Priestess Moon here, and welcome to my first Sunhaven recap video. In this video, I will be summarizing what happened in my first 5 long play no commentary episodes. I'm doing this for people who don't like long plays and would rather have a shorter, condensed version of my gameplay with commentary. I will be doing this for every 5 episodes I do, so let's get into it. As we start our playthrough, we decide to pick an elf because I really enjoy the aesthetics of an elf. I love the wings and I love the cute pink hair I did and the blue eyes. It looks like me. I love the horns and the antlers. I decided to go with the butterfly wings, which are my favorite, and I love the crossbow damage, which is just a bonus for being an elf. As we first enter the game, we're greeted by a scene with a character named Lynn. Lynn is currently talking to her mom and she is nervous about moving to Sunhaven. Lynn is moving to Sunhaven because she's going to be the apprentice blacksmith there. And her mom is currently making her pauldrons, which were passed down from her family line. And she is sending Lynn off. Next, we move into a scene where Lynn is on the train. She's searching around for somewhere to sit, but nobody really seems to want to sit by her, so we invite her to sit by us. While we're chatting on the train, the lights go out and it gets really dark and we get a little bit spooked out, but we try not to worry about it. We end up arriving in Sunhaven and we are greeted by Archmage Lucia and her guard Nathaniel, who greet us and welcome us to the city. They tell us not to worry about the darkness and that we will figure it out at some point. And me and Lynn end up parting ways and Lucia ends up taking us to our new farm. I pick an area over in the corner for my house. And once I place my house, I'm inside of it and a lady named Anne walks in. She tries to sell me some old tools and some wheat seeds and she's trying to scam me a little bit, so I ended up haggling with her and getting the price down. My goal is to plant the seeds and cut down some trees for the quest. Once I'm done with the quest, I head out into town and do a little bit of exploring. I start chatting with some people. I see a girl named Catherine. I love her super witchy aesthetic. She's super cute and I'm kind of interested in dating her. I also am kind of interested in dating Anne because, you know, she's got some nice assets, if you know what I mean. I end up going north and finding the general store and I buy some of my first seeds. The general store worker wants me to deliver something to the blacksmith. So I ended up heading out and heading over to the blacksmith. The blacksmith's name is Salome, and he is outside and he greets me. And he briefs me on a problem that he has been having with a small pesky dragon. The dragon swoops in and makes a mess of rocks that I end up cleaning up for Salome. Salome tells me I should go and talk to Lucia on advice on what to do with the dragon. We ended up heading over to town hall and meeting up with Lucia. Lucia tells me that we should try capturing the dragon with bait and a trap and try relocating the dragon. And while we're having our conversation, Kitty overhears our conversation and she mentions that baby dragons love fish and it is probably nested in the quarry because it's close to the ocean with lots of yummy fish. Kitty says we should catch a super juicy fish and that we should go talk to Peter the fisherman on how to catch one. I head down to the beach and I clear out the rubble and then I end up talking to Peter. He gives us our first fishing rod and teaches us how to fish. He catches a fish for us to use for bait and then I try doing a little fishing on my own. I track down Kitty and I give her the fish and she tells me to come back the next day and she will have the bait ready for me. The rest of the day, I end up exploring the town and clearing out some more of my farm. And then we head to bed. On day 2, I start off the day reorganizing my small house and tending to the farm. I get started in making some of the crafting benches and seeing what I can make in the crafting benches, and clearing out some more of the farm. I head out looking for Kitty, and she gives us some mushed up fish bait for the dragon. While I'm here, Kitty needed some extra help with watering her flowers, so I did this quickly for her. Before I headed back to Salone, I go and I chat with Rosa, and I get my first weapon of choice, which I chose crossbow since we are an elf. I head back to Salone and he tells me he had put a trap order in at the general store, so I go over and I pick that up for him. I head back to Salone again and we set up the trap, which is just a box and a stick. We put the bait inside and we wait. The dragon ends up flying down and heads to the trap, but he isn't going for the bait, so Salone was going to whack it in the head with some mutton he had for lunch, which is just rude. But in the process, the little dragon looks at him with dreamy little eyes and is really fond of Salone. So Salone hesitantly decides to let the baby dragon stay around as long as he doesn't make a mess. I then decided to go into the mines for the first time, and I gather as much copper and rocks as I can so I can level up my mining. I head back to the farm to plant more seeds and clear some more room out for my new crafting benches. I do a little exploring in the forest to the left of my house for some wood, and I try out my new crossbow in combat, which is super fun. As it's getting late, I end up heading back home and going to bed. On day 3, I start off with Lucia greeting me on the farm and telling me it's time to go to Dragon's Meet to meet the dragon Elios. She explains that new people in Sunhaven make a trek there to receive the dragon's blessing as a rite of passage. She said she'd meet me at Town Square the next day at 10 a.m., so the rest of the day I end up spending doing various activities. I finish tending the farm for the morning routine. I clear out more of the farm and check out the different crafting machines and what I can make. I then head to the mines because a huge goal of mine is to get a full set of copper tools and gear to make life easier on the farm. And then we head home and clear more of the farm out and get our copper ore smelting into bars. And we decide to make the copper pickaxe first, and we head to bed. On day 4, we start off the day with opening a DLC pack. We put our new outfit on and we get our first mount and pet, which are super cute. And the mount is a super cute pink sheep, and so is the pet. We do our usual tending of the crops in the morning and we equip our new copper pick. We clear out more of the farm and then we decide to head out and meet Lucia. She takes us up to Dragon's Meet and we walk up and we meet Elios for the first time. He explains that he's the guardian of Sunhaven. He asks me some personal questions which I answer. I live my life for my family. I feel the strongest connection with the flowing river, and fulfilling my destiny sets my heart alight. He says I have a power within me that will eventually grow over time, and I have the responsibility to deal with the consequences of having that power. He gives me his blessing. He tells me I have to hone my skills to continue my journey, and he will reach out to guide me when I'm ready. Lucia explains to me she also has gotten a blessing from Elios, but at a young age, and she's here for me if I ever needed to talk to her, which is super sweet. We head back to town and I talk to June for the first time, who wanted me to plant flowers for him to make the town more beautiful, so we did that. I did have an issue trying to find where to plant the flower for the hospital, but I realized I was just at Warrenhart's house instead of the hospital, so I ended up fixing that. We head over to the library next and we notice a broken statue, so I ended up fixing that while we were there. And then I check out the museum next and learn that it's really empty and they need our help to fill it up with cool things, which I agree to. Next, we head out to the forest to the right of town and I collect as much wood as I can, and we find a guy with a chocobo looking mount who is missing a wheel. We find his wheel for him, but we still need to give him an iron bar, which we don't have yet, so we couldn't quite fix his carriage. While chopping trees, we hit level 15 in exploration, and Elios talks to us. He says that we need to chat again as soon as possible because Sunhaven needs us, and we agree to meet up. We head back home and go to bed for the night. On day 5, we wake up to Peter on the farm, and he teaches us about net permits, and he gives us one for free, which is great. We do our morning farm chores, and after that we notice the dandelion particle effects on the farm, and we head up and we meet Weedle, who challenges us to a jump rope competition, which we promptly beat the first time, which I'm super proud of because I usually fail that. He was so happy that we had fun with him, and we won a little pet version of him, which we let on the farm. We get some more wheat planted to work on the wheat quest Anne has given us. We finally had enough wheat and apples to unlock the snackoon on our farm. Unlocking this snackoon gives us really easy access to the north of town by Kitty's house, so that's very convenient for traveling. We then decide we should probably go buy some choco berries and get those planted to try and unlock the snackoon in the forest to the left of us. We head over to Rosa next, who ends up escorting us back to Elios. And Elios debriefs us and says he needs our help and that a dark energy is spreading over the world, but he isn't sure why. He says he needs to chat with another one of the guardian dragons to learn more about the darkness. He states that he wants us to find a glorite crystal, which will be to the east of Sunhaven, and he tells us to only bring one crystal back because those crystals are important to keep the forest growing healthy with mana. We head over to the eastern forest and we find the area with the crystals, but there were some bandits trying to steal a ton of them, so we decide to fight them, and I almost lost this battle. I had 2 health left. As we head back to town, we are met by Rosa and Nathaniel, and we decide what to do with the criminals. I decided to give them a second chance, even though I probably shouldn't have. We head back to Elios and give him the crystal we got. He says he will use it to cast a protective spell over Sunhaven while he goes out on a journey, and he tells us we are in charge of protecting Sunhaven while he's out. The rest of the night I head over to the mines and I collect as much copper as I can. I then head back to the farm, plant our choco berries, and I head to bed. Day 6, as per usual, we wake up and we do our morning chores on the farm. We made 15 copper bars from last night's mining run, which is great. We decide to make the copper watering can and 6 copper keys to progress in the mine. Earlier in a quest, we picked up an iron axe, so we didn't need to make a copper one. We head back to the mines for the day and gather as much copper as we can. We come back home, we clear out the farm some more. Then I decide to head out for a little fishing trip for the rest of the night because fishing makes really good money. We head back to the farm, we go to bed, and as we're going to bed, we start to hear Elios talking. He says he has troubling news and we must see him at once. The next day, day 7, we tend to the morning chores on the farm as usual. We made the rest of the copper keys we needed for the mines and a copper helmet, which we equip. We head out for the rest of the day and we meet up with Rosa, who escorts us to Elios. Elios tells us a powerful spell has been cast over the city at Withergate, creating an everlasting darkness. He says this spell keeps him out of the city and the source is the moon dragon Dynus. He tells us if the darkness ends up reaching Sunhaven, that we will also be in an everlasting darkness. But he thinks that my power is the key to success, and he thinks that I need to go confront Dynus. Elios then tells me that to get help, I should travel west to the elven city of Nelvari, and I should try talking to the world dragon Navara there. He tells me gaining access to the city might be hard because they keep it hidden. He says that I should learn more about their culture to gain their trust. I then head out to the library to learn more about the elves from Amanda the librarian. I try to get my hand on a book about Nelvari, but she states it's a really old ancient book, and I would need permission from Lucia to view it. I also drop off some things at the museum since I'm over here. So I head out and I find Lucia to get permission to view the text. Lucia says that it's such an old and fragile book that I need to make protective gloves so my hands don't damage the book. Then I can view it. I head back to the farm and craft up some delicate gloves, and head back to the library to meet with Amanda. She gives me the book to read, but the text is in a different language that I can't decipher. She tells me that there is an elf that lives in Sunhaven who's always drinking at the tavern. Maybe I should ask him. So I head out of the tavern to go talk to a man named Edwin. He says he also doesn't understand the language and he can't really help me. I go back to the library and talk with Amanda. She gives me one more option that could be possible. There's a legendary artifact called the Stone of Tongues, which would allow me to read any language. She tells me that maybe a merchant in Sunhaven would have some information on this stone, and I think of the perfect person to ask, Anne. We head out to find her. We ask her about the Stone of Tongues, and crazily enough, she had just purchased that artifact not that long ago from a reputable auction, she says. She says that we can borrow it from her, but she has a man named Duke who hides all of her valuable pieces in the ground, so we have to go and find and dig up this stone for her. We head to the forest in the west and dig up all of Anne's treasures. We find her in the tavern and she says we can borrow the stone for now. So we head back to Amanda at the library and check out the book one more time. We make a pit stop at the museum to drop off some more items. We find out that the text says, "Plant a seed inside your bed, grow a dream inside your head. Sleep in soil rich and dark, leaves coiled up in bedtime bark." We still don't know what that means, so Amanda suggests going back to talk to Edwin. We head up to chat with Edwin again, and he says it's an old Nelvari lullaby his mom used to tell him when he was little. He said he would tell us more info on it if we pay his bar tab. But the lady doesn't want coins, she wants elven grapes, which Edwin said he could grow. So Edwin gives us some seeds for us to grow. We head back to the farm and get those grapes into the ground before the night ends. On day 8, we start off the day with the morning farm chores. We find all the grapes have died overnight for some reason, so we go back and talk to Edwin at the tavern. Before we head to the tavern, we get a letter in the mail saying we should meet Peter down at the docks. We go down and have a chat with Peter, and there is a ship that is coming into Sunhaven. A ship docks and a character named Shang hops off the boat, but he's kind of rude to me, so I don't really interact with him anymore. We head to the tavern to talk to Edwin again and tell him that all of our grapes died. He said they don't just take water and they need mana too, but he didn't tell us that before. So he tells me to go chat with Lucia about how to infuse plants with mana. I head over to chat with Lucia and she teaches me how to infuse mana by practicing on a wilted plant in her office, which I instantly understood how to do. We head back to Edwin and he gives us more grapes, which we can now get planted on the farm as soon as possible and infuse them with the mana after they are watered. We then clear out the farm some more and head over to Clive in the Eastern Forest and give him the iron bar we needed to fix up his carriage. We now unlocked a nice fast travel point to get back to Sunhaven faster. While I'm over in this forest, I ended up farming some pepper flakes and bananas to try to unlock the snack coon over here. We didn't quite get enough to unlock it though. We go to the museum and donate some more items, and we finish the foraging bundle, which is a nice start. We ended the night with a fishing trip and we head to bed. Day 9, we wake up the next day and tend to the crops as usual. All of our grapes are grown nicely and we have a great harvest to bring over to Edwin. On our way over to Edwin, we meet with Anne because we finally finished growing all of her wheat and we completed that quest. We also make one more pit stop to Town Hall and pick up our Tier 2 house permit for 10k. All of that fishing paid off. Once we get to the tavern, Edwin tells us he's shocked we actually figured out how to grow them. We pay off his bar tab and he tells us that it was just a poem and he didn't really know anything else about it. But he thinks that my ability to infuse mana will impress the Nelvari because of my bond with nature. He surely thinks that they'll let us into their city. So I go and I update Lucia on the news, and she tells me that she wants me to meet her at the barracks before I head to Nelvari. I meet her and Nathaniel over at the barracks, and they gift me with the Sunhaven Mana Seal as a token of gratitude for helping the city, and a pair of soldier boots on behalf of the Sunhaven Guards. I head back to my farm and I do a little work on clearing it out, and I upgrade my house to tier 2. I was really excited about it because I love having the bigger house. I check it out and I do some furniture rearranging. I then get my bag sorted and head out to Nelvari. I collect a ton of resources on the way. The monsters are really hard, so I avoid all of them. I make it to the entrance of their city and I'm greeted by 2 trees. One of the trees is talking to me and he says only a true friend of the elves may pass. I notice his tree friend is dormant and needs mana, so I infuse him with the mana trick that I learned earlier and he awakens. They were really grateful about my deed and let me go into Nelvari. I go into Nelvari and I'm greeted by an elder named Gorwin. He is very nice and I tell him I am seeking to chat with the world dragon Navara. He tells me not to be too hasty and to have proper introductions. I tell him I am a farmer and he ends up gifting me with a whole farm on a Nelvari property, and he leads the way to the new farm. I'm greeted by a man named Weasley and a caterpillar type animal named Lily, Weasley has been preparing my farm for me even though he seems not to trust me or like me because I'm an outsider, where Lily seems very helpful and eager to help me. The elder gifts me some acorn seeds and he wants me to try planting them, so I get to work doing that quickly and I check out my huge new tree house. The elder is very happy with my planting and he says I should take some time to get settled into Nelvari, and I can meet with Navara once she has prepared for my arrival. Elder then tells me that Lily can help me learn more about my new farm. She tells me how planting crops here will attract different kinds of wildlife. She also tells me that I should try to gain a bond with the griffin on the farm. I offer it a berry and it ends up liking me. I unlocked a new way to travel back to my Sunhaven farm without running back, which is nice. I spend the rest of the day exploring the shops around Nelvari, and then I head to bed. Day 10. I wake up and I take care of my Nelvari farm, and then I ride the griffin back to Sunhaven farm and take care of that farm too. I then decide to focus on mining for the rest of the day because I really want to finish upgrading all of my tools to copper and getting the rest of the copper set. We reach the 10th floor and gather a lot of loot. We do some fishing to get some more money back since we spent so much on the house upgrade. And we explore what is on the beaches, which is basically just a bunch of mobs. I spend the rest of the night clearing out more of my farm, and I make my first shed. That is all I did for the night, and I head to bed. Thanks everyone for watching. If you like this kind of content, let me know with a like, a comment, or a sub. I really appreciate it, and I hope all of you guys have a wonderful night. See you in the next one.